Good evening and welcome to another edition of Sports Corner with myself and Smokin, Jim Frazier. It's great to have you on board tonight. We have a lot to talk about as basketball standards, NFL news, XFL, but basketball. Wednesday tonight to play at Mississippi State tonight at 19 on 13 days. So we have two TV in the cable system. And then we get back to like the Kansas City play right now. As soon as I get a score, I'm guaranteed. Alright, Smokin, Jim Frazier, it's great to have you back, man. Thank you for coming back tonight. It was great reception basketball around in the restaurant. And the broadcast way up there. And the broadcast way up there for Wednesday in Ohio. As you know, I'm still down here because of my nephew being in the hospital. Smokin, Jim, welcome back. Speaking from tonight we're on the record for first we're going to start with the basketball. Because we're going to tell us normally we talk about the scores first tonight, so we're going to do things backwards. So, anyway, quick basketball, the men's record was 22-11. They play Mississippi State tonight. It's not the two best of the coaches of Mississippi State. And Harlan, yeah. What's the answer for that too? Well, you know what I'm saying? And the guy here's the former like that. One of the players that we could be playing is Xavier. We win this game, we play Xavier next. And guess who's the head coach at Xavier?
Sean Miller.
That's it, man. You know it. Sean Miller. So we might be playing for the first time against Sean Miller. Wouldn't that be interesting, huh?
Wow, I didn't know that. We never faced him, huh?
I don't think we have. I don't believe we have. So, but anyway, also, let's see, Federico, their big center, he's a game day decision. He had a minor injury, and he's going to be a game day decision tonight. We'll see what goes there. John Hubley is entering the transfer portal. What do you think of this, Smokin, Jim?
Well, and it's an option now for all the players. It's an opportunity that you can do to stop it and be able to replace it. That's all.
Yeah, he was one of the senior players on the team. The interesting thing is, though, he was hurt much of this season. In fact, he hardly ever played. So, that's sort of on him, more or less, and sad that it happened that way. But he's transferring out of the program. Also, in women's basketball, Smokin, Jim, did I call this or did I call this? I said that they need to fire Lance White, the girls' basketball coach. And guess what happened? They fired Lance White at the end of the season. This is the first person that Heather Light, the athletic director, has fired.
What?
Yeah, because she never fires anybody, Smokin, Jim. All she ever does is lets her contract run out or whatever. But she's never fired anybody since she's been at Pitt. She finally fired Lance White. All right. I know. Let's get into some Duquesne's men's basketball real quick. 6th place in the Atlantic 10 this year. 20-win season for the first time in a long, long time. Keith Danbroth, but the problem with Duquesne was they lost some key games, just like Pitt. They lost some key games at the end and got blown out in the tournament. So with that, they are in the CBI tournament, which is called the College Basketball Invitational. It's the third tournament after the NIT. They're in the first round Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock. They play Rice. So let's good luck to Duquesne. Let's hope that they, do their thing, and that's going to be great. Next, we're going to talk about the Penguins, Smokin, Jim. 34, 22, and 10, 78 points, 4th place in the Metro Division. 4-game winning streak, Smokin, Jim. Do you think they can continue it, or do you think it's they're going to lose tonight, and we're going to have a roller coaster going into the playoffs?
I think they're playing, Minnesota tonight?
No, they're playing the Canadians.
Canadians. Okay.
Right.
I knew it was a bad team.
Yeah.
They should win night, but the last I looked, I think they were down a little bit, so they got to find a way to get 5 wins in a row here.
Oh yeah, yeah. They have to start doing something. You know what? It seems like these Pittsburgh teams, Duquesne, Pitt, Penguins, all are all blowing games that could help them. I mean, now the Penguins have blown some games, and now they got to play catch up here. No pun intended, of course. Signs, but they got. Hey, you know what? They won't be playing catch up this year at Heinz Field or at Acrisure Stadium.
That's for sure.
Oh my! Hey, I got something for you. You know that joke I always tell, that divorce court joke?
Yeah.
I was saying it down here when I was at the hospital to a whole bunch of, because I ran into some employees down here, Cleveland Brown fans, and we were going back and forth. They were like, "Oh, Cleveland Browns." I said, "Yeah, Cleveland Browns. Take a look at how many Super Bowls we have. How many do you have? None." So, because they saw my Steeler lanyard, I wear my keys. I wear my keys on a lanyard, and yeah, and it says Steelers on it. So, what had happened was it was funny, and then the one Cleveland, I told the joke, the divorce court joke. And I said, the judge says to the kid, "Son, I can't make my mind up who I want to live with, your mommy or your daddy." And the kid says, "Your Honor, I don't want to live with either one of them. They beat me." Judge says, "Well, who do you want to live with?" I said, "The Cleveland Browns. It'll beat anybody." I was picking on him big time down here, man. It was funny as heck. But I did run into a couple employees down here in the hospital that were Steeler fans. So it kind of evened out, Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, let's get back to the Pens. Injuries. Here's an interesting scenario here, Smokin' Jim. 2 players, one of them we got back, Nick Bonino, and Dmitry Kulikov, are both hurt already. Bonino has a lacerated kidney, and Dmitry Kulikov has a lower body injury. These guys haven't even been here a week, and already they're hurt. What do you think about this?
Man, that's very disappointing. Sometimes you can go and make some good trades and come out of it. Other times you guys never stay healthy. So that's very disappointing.
Yeah, Pens, I believe, and I think you agree with me. They have to keep this going because they can't afford to get behind the 8 ball. They get behind the 8 ball, they're going to have major problems here. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, and also goaltending has to step up. Tristan Jarry can't get hurt again. He gets hurt again around the playoffs, we're done. Casey DeSmith, I'm not sold on him. I've told you many times, and I've said it on all the archive shows, how many times I've said that I really can't deal with Casey DeSmith. He's a bum. I think they shouldn't have re-signed him. They should have went and got another quality backup goaltender. And your buddy Fleury was out there, but of course they didn't sign him. So what do you think about this? You think their goaltending has to step up?
Well, I think no matter what, they're one and done if they make the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's like the last 2 years.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I call Mike Sullivan mediocre Mike as well, because this is where we are, You know me, Smokin' Jim. I only speak the truth. And that's the way I see it. Oh, my. All right. Pirates today lost to Baltimore in a split squad game. They tied with the Twins. There's no extra innings in Grapefruit League. They are 4-11-1. Wow. Jeez. Wow. Renewed the contract of O'Neal Cruz. That's good news. What do you think of that, Smokin' Jim?
Oh, he could be a game changer, So I'm happy to see that we locked him up for a few more years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And some news today Felipe Vasquez, remember him?
Yeah.
Well, today was his appeal hearing on his conviction for sexual assault, and the appeals court said no. Did you ever see the old Golden Corral commercial back about 10 or 12 years ago? They had a guy, he was dressed like a pirate, and he had a bird perched on his shoulder. And they were advertising about seafood and fish and, all you can eat, right? And he goes, they're at this other, he's at this restaurant, and the guy says, "Can I get all you can eat fish?" And he looks at the bird, and he goes, "The bird says no." The appeals court for Felipe Vasquez says no. Oh, my. Well, they trimmed 8 players down off the roster today, the Pirates, Smokin' Jim. They optioned to AAA Mike Burrows, right-hand pitcher. This is a shock to me. Catcher Indy Rodriguez. Some up with these catchers that the Pirates seem to have drafted or whatever. They haven't seemed to be making any hay in the minors. Henry Davis was drafted, about 3-4 years ago, and he's still not up. And this Indy Rodriguez was drafted, too. He was up last year a little bit. They had that 20 catcher rotation last year. So, but he got sent to AAA. Right-handed pitcher Colin Selby, infielder Jared Triolo, and outfielder Ryan Velotti got sent down. Reassigned to minor league camp was Lee Chi-Hoon, whoever that is. He's a right-hand pitcher. Left-handed pitcher Caleb Smith and right-hand pitcher Nate Webb, all sent to minor league camp. Smokin' Jim. What do you think so far spring training's been kind of a bust, but it's spring training only. What do you think the Pirates could do this year?
I hope they play hard. That's what they could do.
I think they're going to be competitive with this veteran team. They have veterans now, and I think they're going to be competitive. I think they're going to lose 95 games instead of 100, so that's an improvement of 5 games.
That's a big swing.
Hey, you know what? That's improvement.
Yeah.
That's improvement there. All right, now let's get into this, into some Steeler news here. And I tell you what, I have some news for you today. Well, this is old news. Steelers signed cornerback Patrick Peterson. I heard your thoughts earlier tonight on Pittsburgh Sportsline about Cam Sutton. What's your thoughts on this Patrick Peterson signing?
I think Patrick Peterson is one of the top 10 greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. Now, what he has left at 32, 33 years old, we're yet to see. I think that he had 20 this year. He had 5 interceptions from Minnesota. He had a lot of big plays. At that age, those guys can't afford to lose a step. He's good. He had world-class speed coming out of college. He was the number 1 high school player in America according to USA Today. Jim Thorpe Award winner. All of that, the accolades you can have. So I think he set an NFL record as a rookie with 4 punt returns for touchdowns. So he's a big playmaker. But he still got great size at 6'2". I'm all for it. I didn't see the numbers. Did you get the numbers of the contract?
Yeah, it's 2 years, $8 million.
Oh man, how can you not? How can you not? He's only making $4 million a year, man, for Patrick Peterson. Man, that's great.
Yeah.
And so, hey, if we get the type of pass rush that they're capable of everybody stay healthy, he doesn't have to cover them that long, brother.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But you know what? I see this as a Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden's about the same age. But the thing is, though, even if he is at the tail end of his career, and of course he made the statement today on Twitter, guess what? He wants to play for Mike Tomlin. Oh, my. He wants to play for mediocre Mike. Oh my. Hey, Smoking Jim, you know something? Before I die, I want to play for Mediocre Mike. uh, signed offensive lineman Nate Herbeck. He's from the Jets, but he was once played for Philly, and Andy Weidel knows him very well, so he brought him in at guard. I got some other news for you too that I think you're going to like, but that's coming up. They re-signed DeMarne KZ. I think that's a good signing. What do you think of these two signings here?
Well, hey, we need some depth on the offensive line. We need some guys to come in and that's going to try to push for start lineup for guys. KZ is a smart move. He's a ball hawk. He gets some sacks. He's a small guy. 175 pounds. If he can stay healthy, starting to get up there in age a little bit as well. But it was a no-brainer. He got the nose for the football. And the National Football League, if you can win the turnover battle, you can usually win the football game.
Re-signed my buddy, Larry Okunjobi.
All right.
Yeah, 3 years, $28 million. And I got to tell you, this kind of surprised me, but I wasn't surprised because they need him back. I predicted this. I said that Larry Okunjobi should be one of the first priorities for the defensive line. And here the Steelers heard what I said, and here we are. They released William Jackson III. You know, that's old news. He had a back injury. Sad part about this, Smoking Jim, and I think you'll agree with me on this, we gave up a fifth-round pick, and usually our fifth-round picks are usually pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah. Again, we talked about it with the Kings. You have to know that, William Jackson III was done as a football player. He hardly played. We got him, we got him, and we had to give up a fifth-round pick. And for a guy that's never even seen the field, didn't get a helmet all year, you got to do a better job of evaluating these guys where you make a trade. So that fifth-round pick is, like you said, is usually a pretty good one for the Steelers. And we got nothing for it. We got no production. Guys who retired, pretty much retired from football.
Now, here's what I had to say about this. Next thing here I'm going to tell you. Remember I talked about a few weeks back about how we should sign Leighton Vander Esch from Dallas because Micah Parsons was taking over the show down there, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Steelers attempted to sign him, and at the last minute today, Dallas gave him a new contract. Am I good or am I good?
You're great. You're great, brother.
I called that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
All right. Linebacker Devin Bush and Terrell Edmonds are hitting the stone. Do you think they'll re-sign Terrell Edmonds again, or do you think he goes bye-byes?
That's one of Tomlin's favorites for some reason. So I don't know. Last year they made Edmonds look around a little bit and then re-signed him, but let a guy look around 2 years in a row. I don't think he'll come back. I think he'll maybe find a number somewhere with another team that's a lot more than the Steelers could really afford.
Well, we all know they're parting ways with Devin Bush, who was another one of Mediocre Mike's favorites. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
If he wasn't a number one draft pick, he probably wouldn't have been his favorite, Now, here's another one that was a wasted draft pick that I thought was actually a big waste. Kendrick Green, he's gone. They're parting ways with him. What do you think of this?
Wow, you can't swing and miss that fast.
Well,
Holy smokes, wow, they got rid of him already.
Well, the rumor I heard today was that trying to part ways with him. Yeah, yeah, they're going to part ways with him. He's done. He's done. I don't know what happened, Smokin' Jim. He was supposed to practice last year, worked out with the Poundsy brothers down in Florida. So I thought, well, maybe he'd be a better player this year. He didn't even get in the game. No, he wasn't. I thought that was a reach. They should have never even got this guy, you know. But here's the shock in the world today. Linebacker Robert Spillane signs with the Raiders.
No.
Yep, signs with the Raiders. Yep. Well, there's a guy that I've always said that comes with the lunch pail. What do you think?
Yeah. Wow. Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, and let's see here. The Cincy Bengals re-signed linebacker Jermaine. I can't remember his last name off the top of my head, but they re-signed him. He was a thorn in the Steelers' side this year. The Browns in the AFC North here, we're going to go over theirs a little bit here. The Browns signed edge rusher Ogbania Okorongolo. He was from I can't remember who he played for, but that's who they signed today. And they signed defensive tackle Devlin Tomlinson and re-signed offensive guard center Ethan Posick, who played most of the year at center due to injuries. The Browns, they stink. They're always going to stink, and they never will not stink. What do you think?
Yeah,
the Ravens put the franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. I'm hearing stories they want to trade him. What do you think about this?
I would have been traded. I think they offered him a decent contract last year and he turned it down. Yeah,
they put the franchise tag on him this year. I think he wants paid, and I don't blame him. I heard a story from a buddy of mine named Peter Blake yesterday. He told me that Lamar Jackson is looking to get paid. I mean, he really wants to be paid, and I don't blame him. But the Ravens now, this is how they're dogging him now because he didn't take that contract last year. They're talking about bringing in a rookie quarterback and paying him more money or something than what they're paying him. And here's your franchise quarterback, and you're talking about bringing in another guy.
Well, they can't do that because rookies
yeah.
Under rookie salary cap, so they don't make
right, yeah. Well, what I'm saying is the Ravens are talking about bringing in a quarterback and paying him way more money than him and just putting him on the franchise tag. And that threat has come about from the Ravens. And I think that if I'm Lamar Jackson, I'd go somewhere else. Or at least I'd ask for a trade.
The stock is dropping. This stock was high last year. He should have signed a contract last year and got a multi-year deal offer last year. He refused to sign it. He didn't think it was enough. And now the stock is dropping. 2 years in a row, you're out the latter part of the season with injury. Who's going to pay you guaranteed money? The guaranteed money that you want when you can't stay healthy. So, life is about the decisions that you make. I thought Lamar Jackson made a wrong decision last year by not signing the deal. It's proven to be valid now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get into the other NFL moves here today. And believe me, I've got a long list here, so we're going to be here all night. That's why I got through everything else pretty quickly, so we can go over this. Green Bay trades Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Now, what do you think of this?
Did that happen?
Yes. Well, that's in the process of happening. They're trying to work out the deal with the Jets. That hasn't happened. But if it does, what do you think about this?
Well, now that they got one of his receivers, the Jets got a couple of pretty good receivers, so they got a pretty good team. So They seem to be bending over backwards for Aaron Rodgers. He likes that. So sounds like it's going to be a good marriage.
Yeah, Green Bay, Matt LaFleur, the head coach here. I'm going to tell you something really stupid he did, and I talked about this last week on Sports Corner here, was Green Bay didn't send any of their staff, none of them, to the combine. What do you think about that?
Wow. I don't know what's up with that. Why wouldn't they do that? Wow, I'm shocked. I don't think any team has ever done that before.
Yeah, they said they didn't. According to the report I read, they didn't send anybody to the combine. None. Maybe they know something that we don't know. I don't know. All right. The Giants, New York Giants, are finalizing a trade to acquire tight end Darren Waller from the Raiders. That's going to be great. What do you think of that? That's going to add to Brian DeBoe's offense. What do you think?
It's a mistake on Waller's part. The Giants don't play football well enough. He's the guy that's putting up big numbers in terms of the tight end position, catches and yards. I think he'll be very disappointed going to New York just run first offense. So, wow. But I guess the money must be so good that he's willing to make the move.
What do you think about Daniel Jones getting the money he received? I think it was wrong. I think he shouldn't have received it. Now, all of a sudden, now you got one year wonders here, all getting big money. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, he backed him into a corner. I mean, they allowed him to play all those years as a mediocre quarterback, and you had no other option. Either Daniel Jones or let him go. So now you're giving him $40 million a year, and he's getting a $40 million a year contract. Pittsburgh Steelers could be looking down that same barrel in 4 years for 26. I mean, you have to figure out in the first couple of years whether this guy's your franchise quarterback. If he's not, you got to get rid of him and get somebody else in there, because if you don't, now after 4 or 5 years, you have to either pay or have no quarterback on your roster, and that's what happened with the Giants. Daniel Jones only threw 17 touchdowns this year, but he led the Giants to a playoffs, which they got blown out in the playoffs. But there's nobody else on the roster, so they had to overpay.
Well, we're talking about the Giants. They also signed linebacker Bobby O'Crease. Las Vegas Raiders, guess who they acquired today?
Who's that?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Wow, Jimmy G.
Jimmy G goes to Las Vegas Raiders.
Hey, too bad they're not still in Oakland. All he had to do was cross the bridge.
Well, Oakland's disintegrating anyway. The A's are about to move out of town too. That owner, he asked the public for a stadium, and Oakland's a poor town, kind of like Youngstown here. Okay, they're a poor town. They don't have the money to be forking out for a new stadium, so they try to get some public money and build the stadium or their ballpark somewhere on some land that they didn't even acquire. It was along the riverbanks there or whatever, and along the banks there, and in some district there that the people didn't want it there. So now it looks like the A's are on their way to Vegas. So Vegas is building them a ballpark right in the middle of the strip. So, and I got this under some good authority from a buddy of mine named Bruce Kessinger down there in Oakland. We do that show together on Fridays on Blog Talk Radio called The External Bum. So,
okay.
Yeah. The Raiders also signed safety Michael Epps and, of course, linebacker Robert Spillane. So, anyway, let me see here. Philadelphia signs Rashad Penny, and they also re-signed Jason Kelsey. their offensive lineman, Chad Kelsey's brother. I'm sorry. What do you think of those signings?
Well, Kelsey's a future Hall of Famer. I think there's an offensive lineman. And Penny used to be a good back for Seattle. I'm surprised that he's not still there. Oh, he has some injuries, but Philadelphia doesn't need a running back. So I'm surprised they signed Penny. They got about 3 or 4 running backs.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing. Maybe they brought him in for competition, But anyway, 49ers signed defensive tackle. You ready?
Yeah.
Javon Hargrove.
$20 million a year, bro.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And guess who else they signed? Quarterback Sam Darnold from Carolina.
Are you serious?
I kid you not. They signed Sam Darnold. Let Jimmy G walk, but signed Sam Darnold. And they got Trey Lance, who knows, and Brock Purdy. We'll see what Purdy does, but he got hurt. He's not going to be back for a while. So we're going to see where that goes. What do you think of this?
Well, people still want to take a flyer on Lamar. He's such a great quarterback in USC sometimes. Everybody tries to use earmarks as a big quarterback, but he's nowhere near close. I'm surprised he was still taking a flyer on him, but maybe it's for a camp arm, like you said. They don't have Jimmy G anymore, and Purdy's not going to be able to throw for a while.
Right. All right, the Patriots trade tight end Jameel Smith to the Falcons, and they also and the Patriots get a 7th round pick for that, and they signed linebacker Raquin McMillan. That's what and they also signed cornerback cornerback Jonathan Jones. What do you think of those? Patriots. Yeah. Tennessee Titans signed offensive lineman Andre Dillard. Titans better get their act together this year. I heard Mike Vrabel's kind of on the bubble down there a little bit this year, although they didn't have much of a good season last year. Tannehill was hurt, and then they had Malik Willis playing. He didn't do real good, and there's been some negative talk about him, of course. So, we'll see where they go. The Bears. All right, the Bears had an interesting day here. Guess what they did? They traded their number 1 pick overall for this year to the Carolina Panthers.
Wow. Yeah, that's right.
And then they get a 2023 first-round pick of Carolina's and a 2024 first-round pick and a 2024 second-round pick and wide receiver DJ Moore. What do you think of that?
Yeah,
And they also signed linebacker TJ Edwards. And guess who else they signed? I think you and I agreed that the Steelers should have signed this guy. And again, they're behind the 8 ball. Linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds. The Bears.
Chicago?
No, yeah, Chicago, yeah. I gotta get a hold of my friend Harry Berg, Harry the Greek. He covers the Chicago Bears. I gotta see if I can get him on the show. We'll talk about that.
I tell you what, see if they can get both Edmonds brothers.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, that would be great. Can you imagine this? Edmonds and Chase Claypool on the same team? We'll see how that goes, huh? Yeah. Yeah, well, you know something too, Smoking Jim, I wanted to bring up here. You know, this Matt Everfluss here, he doesn't take no jive there. And I've said this many times. Chase Claypool better be careful how he gets on social media and stuff, because this guy, he cracks the whip. He don't take no jive. So, if Chase Claypool wants to stay on that team, he better watch what he does. And stay out of them bars up in Canada and quit getting into bar fights.
Right.
All right, the Falcons had a busy day. They re-signed offensive guard Chris Lindstrom. They signed defensive tackle David Onamata. And they also signed offensive guard Ben Powers and quarterback Jared Stidham. They signed him today. And you ready for this? They also signed quarterback Taylor Heineke from the Commanders. So Arthur Smith and the Falcons are loading up with quarterbacks, because don't forget, the only quarterback they really have there now is Desmond Ridder, because they got rid of Matt Ryan, and then they traded him to Indianapolis, and then they got rid of Marcus Mariota, Claudio's buddy.
Well, who's the Commanders quarterback? Oh, they're going with that.
Yeah, Sam Howell for now. I like it. Sam Howell for now, We'll see what they do there with the Commanders this year with Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator. We'll see what happens there. All right. Next, the Broncos. They signed offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey. They also signed defensive end Zach Alston. And the Chiefs, they signed Kawan Taylor today. Let me see here. Hold on. I think the Broncos signed some other players too. Yeah, they also re-signed linebacker Alex Singleton today too. What do you think of these signings? What do you think of these signings here with their new coach there?
Not too bad so far. Not too bad. How mediocre might be, in the right direction.
Oh my! All right, let's see here. The Commanders signed offensive tackle Andrew Wiley. Vikings signed tight end Josh Oliver, and Tampa Bay re-signs quarterback Jamal Dean. What do you think about that situation down there in Tampa? They don't have a quarterback. They got Kyle Trask. They need to do something down there. Todd Bowles has to save his job, because I think he's on eggshells this year. What do you think about Tampa?
I think they were going after Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, there was talk of it. My friend Peter Blake told me last night as well. I don't think he doesn't think that's going to happen, because despite the fact Baker Mayfield is not a bad quarterback, look who he was with, the Browns. He really didn't get a shot. He played for the Rams last year, but he's got too many. He makes too many boneheaded mistakes, and that's where Tampa needs to get somebody in here who can really play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. We got a few more to go here. All right, Dolphins, which I didn't talk with Harvey Greenwald last week, but anyway. Today they signed linebacker David Long Jr., and they signed quarterback Mike White. Remember this guy? He was the backup up at the Jets last year, and everybody loved him. Well, he's gone from the Jets.
Wow.
So, yeah, and then they made the trade for Jalen Ramsey. What do you think of that?
Well, they only gave up the third round. So he got anything left.
Do you think the Steelers should have signed him or try to get him?
Too much social media, too much. No, we got to get that out of our life.
I know. It's terrible, man. It is. It's bad. You're right. I agree with you on that. Mediocre Mike got to nip that in the butt, and he still hasn't. Oh, that's right. He's friends with everybody. That's why everybody wants to play for Mike Tomlin. Carolina signs safety Von Bell. Despite the trade, they've been pretty busy. Also, they signed defensive tackle Shy Tuttle, and they re-signed offensive guard Boozman Bradley. What do you think Carolina's going to do with Frank Reich this year?
It's going to be tough because you got to have a quarterback. You got to have a quarterback. I don't know who they're looking at in the draft, but I'm not in the draft. So it's going to be tough. I don't know if Frank Wright will be afforded the opportunity long term to turn things around. It doesn't look good for next year.
We'll see what happens. They got the first pick now because they traded with the Bears today. So we'll see where they go with that.
There's no quarterback really in the draft. So it depends on no matter who they pick.
Yeah, Dave Tepper's an impatient owner. He's like seeing Ross down in Miami and the Jerry Jones of the world and some of these other people. Jerry Jones is sort of, some of these guys been hanging around now. Jason Garrett hung around, and now Mike McCarthy's back for another year, and on and on. But they're always on eggshells, though. The Vikings signed edge rusher Marcus Davenport. Seahawks signed defensive lineman Tremont Jones. Colts signed place kicker Matt Gay. So, what do you think about the Colts and the Cardinals this year, Smokin' Jim, with their new coaches, the two coordinators from Philly? I don't think either team's going to work with these two guys. I'm sorry, Shane Stechen's a nice offensive coordinator. They went to the Super Bowl, but he hasn't been that long as an offensive coordinator, and I don't know what he'll do as a head coach. And then Gannon, he's down there in Arizona, and they win a Super Bowl, they go to playoffs one year under Nick Sirianni with these two coordinators, and now everybody thinks they're head coaching candidates. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right, the Texans signed. Guess who the Texans signed today? Case Keenum. And they also signed edge rusher Chase Winovich, and guess who he played for? Yeah. Yeah. Well, guess who he played for in the NFL before here? No, he played for the Browns and the Bengals. I think it was the Browns. Yeah, he played for one of them. I know. I heard his name called too many times against the Steelers. Cardinals re-signed. Here's a blast from the past. Excuse me. Here's a blast from the past. You ready? Calvin Beachum. Yeah, the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals re-signed him. He was with them last year. Okay, here we go. The Saints, man. I got to tell you, the Saints they got Derek Carr now, and they just re-signed today Jameis Winston. What do you think? Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I said this that that their head coach there, he's not all that great, and Dennis Allen, he's a terrible head coach. He was with the Raiders. He's a good defensive coordinator. Don't get me wrong, but I've said this many times, Smokin' Jim, and I think you'll agree with me. It sounds like a broken record, but it's the truth. some guys can be coaches and some guys can be coordinators. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. Until they figure out the better, figure out get how to do it first. It's a great course. He's happy, he can make a lot of money, he can have a lot of respect. Like you said, a lot of these guys, like the enemy, they can come to do it first. He's about to get the great.
All right, XFL scores. Arizona 44, Orlando 16, San Antonio lost to Seattle. Hines Ward lost again. This time he lost to Jimmy Haslett in Seattle. In Seattle, there 15-6. The Renegades lost to the Battlehawks 24-11, and the Defenders beat the Vipers, which is Rod Woodson's team, 32-18. I got something for you here, Smokin' Jim. The Battlehawks of St. Louis drew the highest attendance so far in every game this season. But here's what people seem to have forgotten, Smokin' Jim, and I think you'll agree with me on this. This is the first time St. Louis has had a football team in a long time since the Rams left. So that's why they have the highest attendance of all the teams in the XFL. And some of these other teams are in cities that already have teams. So what do you think of this?
Again, you laid it out.
All right, let's go over the NCAA tournament brackets here for a minute. I know Alabama's number one. You called that one. You said Alabama was going to be number one. UCLA's number two. And number three, I believe, is, I think is Duke, I think. Yeah. I can't remember who's number three here, but I know UCLA's number two. Oh, number three is Gonzaga. They're number three. So, anyway, the brackets are out, and Pitt's playing Mississippi State tonight, as you well know. That game is underway right now. Penn State, they made it. They made it number 10 seed. They're in the Midwest Division, in the Midwest region, and they're playing Texas tonight, number 2 Texas. And also West Virginia has made it also, which I was quite surprised, Smokin' Jim, because their Big 12 record was not even. They had a lousy conference record, but I think they did well in the tournament to get into the NCAA. What's your thoughts on our local teams?
I was surprised because I can't say that they got a veteran, very that come together and the backdoor you can get. They were really simple points that they got a chance to run the Lord in the tournament and the really season.
What's your thoughts, Smokin' Jim? And I wanted to ask you this. What is your thoughts on the Georgetown firing of Patrick Ewing? What do you think of that?
You know, breaking my heart that he couldn't win. He really would have been with 11 legends, great players.
Right.
Hopefully there's no bad blood. Continue to maintain a good relationship.
What do you think? Who do you think is going to get that job? I hear Jeff Capel's a candidate now. There's a rumor out there the Penn State coach is a candidate. Who do you think should get that job, or do you know anybody out there?
Well, I don't know anybody else. I think York, which is private school structure is very similar to like a partner that is very hard to get into. And so you're not going to be able to get the ideal five-star average as much as it could be. So it's hard to turn that program.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to let you know too, Rick Pitino and Iona are in the NCAA tournament.
Sure enough, I think he's here more than first next year. Everybody feels that Rick Pitino may be one of those jobs. So let's see how he does.
I think they play tomorrow. I'm not sure.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I have to look at the bracket, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think they play tomorrow. So, Smokin' Jim, we're going to ready to wrap things up here. Early show tonight.
Okay.
What's your final thoughts on tonight?
Man, great show. A lot of information there. You really bring it, bro. Very, very interesting. Everything that happened. I can't wait to see how everything works out with the New York Jets. So it seems to be pretty big.
Yeah, the Jets. I had Denver assistant head coach Mike Westhoff on my show last summer, and he has a book out about the Jets, which you can pick up on Amazon. And he used to be a special teams coach, big time special teams coach. Worked under Sean Payton. His last job was down in New Orleans, and Payton brought him back this year as an assistant head coach. He's 75 years old, but one of the best special teams coaches in the history of the NFL. And when I had him on, I had people come in. I had T.J. Hushmanzada. I had some other players that came on and made comments about Mike, about how good he is, how he's a nice guy. And it was a great interview. I thought it was at least. He told me last year that he attended a couple practices of the Jets. And he said Robert Saleh is one of the most organized head coaches he ever saw. Everything is organized to the T. And he says he knows Robert Saleh is going to be a really good coach for the Jets. And this right here, bringing Aaron Rodgers possibly to the Jets, and some of the moves that they have made, they got rid of some dead wood, which they needed to do, so I think the Jets are going to do well, or may even do way better this year. They might even eke into the playoffs. I think they almost did this year. So if they would have won a few games and didn't have some injuries and had the right quarterback. So I thought Flacco did pretty good up there. He's a traveling kind of guy. Let me ask you this. If the Steelers were to get rid of Trubisky tomorrow to shed his salary and sign Joe Flacco, would you like it?
No.
Huh?
No.
How about if they got rid of Trubisky and signed Marcus Mariota at a cheaper price? What do you think?
No.
Okay. I'm just asking your thoughts on these because these guys are out there. Flacco's out there, I think. And Marcus Mariota got cut by the Falcons. But he was hurt toward the end of the year. Desmond Ridder had to play, but he was having a career season. I mean, he was really doing well with the Falcons. That's Claudio's buddy,
If you lose Mariota and you have a young quarterback, you have to bring in veterans. You needed the perfect guy would have been Fitzpatrick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, yeah.
This guy knows the game, throws all in the brain. He's somebody that can chemistry. He can bring a young quarterback along. Flacco don't say 3-4 words, man. Black guy. He'll do his job. But he's not going to help They got to be all hands on deck on behind any ticket for the next 2 years. You got to find out. The Steelers made their bid, they got to sleep in it. And so I think he could possibly actually not coming out of retirement. I would give it a shot. I think it would be great to develop Kenny Pickett, and if Kenny Pickett gets hurt, we can come in and give him some minutes. I mean, we had a good year this last year with the Bell, so the man is also it broke his heart when my name was Captain Bell. I think that's one of the main reasons why he retired. He could have quit. So that's the kind of guy I would be looking for. Somebody that has the person, not only the knowledge, but that has the personality when there's that big of a gap in age. You know, you got to have somebody like you, even though you're old, you can relate to young people, and young people can relate to you.
Right.
Even the pretty young people can relate to young cardio, well, gone, or young people can relate to him.
Yes.
You have to have somebody that not only has the knowledge, but somebody that gets along. Big Ben Roethlisberger has the knowledge, but he don't get along. You don't want to hear the music, you don't want to hear. He's done it. He be useless, you know. Same way with a Peyton Man or something like that. They don't have the personality to relate to the younger generation.
All right, here we go. Mitch Trubisky, this past week or two, had another summit down at his house. What do you think about this? I'm actually quite surprised he had this summit because, I heard there's some bad feelings, because he's not the starter or whatever. But, when he came into the Steelers told him there was no guarantee he was going to be a starter. And, if that was the situation and he thought he was going to be a starter guaranteed, he should have went to a team that was going to do that. Yeah, I do remember Mike Merriweather. Hey, they lied to Melvin Ingram. They lied to a bunch of guys.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Who knows what was said? Mitch heard it one way, the Steelers said they said it another way. So, who knows? I think we feel tonight and say anything good about it. So I cannot believe that Mitch Trubisky was that, cool. I had to believe that somebody did something.
Yeah.
This is a guy that was the second pick overall in the draft. Why would he come here?
Yeah, I know. And what's Kelly Russell say? Diabetes. I mean, look at Melvin Ingram now. He's playing for Miami. He's having a blast, man. He had, every time I watch a game with Miami, he's there making plays.
They were looking at the three there for a while. Or they were looking at the three about that linebacker as a backup.
I was going to ask you that question. Do you think we should sign Bud Dupree as a backup? I think we should, only if it comes on the cheap.
I think it would have to come on the cheap, and I think that C.J. Watt is getting production.
Yes.
C.J. Watt inspires me to play better, and I think that Dupree is one of the guys who
Yeah.
to play better, but he would have to know that he would have to
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that question because I forgot about Bud Dupree, about that Smokin' Jim. I was going to ask you that question because that question came up a couple times on a couple different shows I was on. Do you think that Bud Dupree would come back? Would the Steelers take him back? I says, I think he would, but they'd have to do it. Would have to be on the cheap. But I think Bud Dupree would come back because he knows the defense, you know, and he can play with T.J. Watt, like you said, and then on top of that, he can contribute with a veteran presence. But he has to stay healthy. That's the problem with him.
Yeah.
You know, he has to stay healthy. That's why he bombed out down in Tennessee, because he was hurt too much. And, you know, the Tennessee overpaid for him anyway, Smokin' Jim. You know that, and I know that. That's why Mike Vrabel's going to be on eggshells this year, because some of the ridiculous signings that he made, and one of them was Bud Dupree. And now he's got egg on his face because, he ended up, they gave him all that money, and then he got hurt, he didn't play. I mean, you can't help the club when you're in the tub. I mean, that's in all sports. That's not just in football. But anyway, also don't forget tomorrow night, join Smokin' Jim and I for Talking Wrestling. We'll be here on our 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We got a lot to talk about tomorrow night. 2 top 10s, Where Are They Now segment, and a whole lot more. And I just got word just now, Smokin' Jim, right here, that the Bella Twins are leaving the WWE for AEW. Well, I saw this coming, Smokin' Jim, because last week when I had Talking Wrestling on, the Bella Twins were at Bryan Danielson's match against MJF last week or 2 weeks ago at Revolution. So, at the Revolution pay-per-view. So I kind of put 2 and 2 together and got 4. But the question was the Bella Twins there just to support Danielson and not sign with AEW? Turns out they're signing with AEW. Yeah, it is. That is big news. And Wednesday night, there's supposed to be a WWE star that's moved to AEW making his debut. I'll let you know who that is tomorrow night. And everyone tomorrow night, don't forget about Talking Wrestling. And also don't forget Thursday night, 7:30. We're going to be on Blog Talk Radio, Smokin' Jim and I, along with Mark Mancini, Wrestling and Sports Talk, 347-205-9631. And don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel. Look at all my archive versions as well. And also coming up Thursday at 4 o'clock, Ralph Williams 101. My guest is financial guy Steve Mancini. He's going to talk about this financial crash with these banks and all this other stuff that's been going on. So join me 4 p.m. on our 4 platforms for Ralph Williams 101. My guest Thursday, 4 p.m., Steve Mancini. So Thursday is a busy day for RW Media as well as Mancini Media. And don't forget Saturday, Smokin' Jim and I in our normal time slot, PCTV Channel 21 Comcast, 47 Verizon Cable in Allegheny County, Sports Corner, Smokin' Jim. And don't forget, next Thursday, March 23rd, is our live call-in show at PCTV. You can call in. They have a new number. I'll give it to you next Thursday when you tune in. This is the show from the beginning of the month that I had to cancel because of my nephew here in Youngstown, Ohio. Live from Youngstown, Ohio. I'll be back tomorrow night back at Studios 808, the DJ Fun Studios at Studios 808 in Pittsburgh. I'll be back tomorrow. Smokin' Jim, it's great having you back on the show. We'll see you tomorrow night, or talk to you tomorrow night for Talking Wrestling. And it's great to have you back, buddy. Yep, and it was a great show as always. And we'll have another great show for you tomorrow night. So for Smokin' Jim Frazier, I am Ralph Williams. You have yourself a great night. Thank you for watching. Be safe.